If Joe Biden governs the way he campaigns, he'll be a part-time president. Hello, this is Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy with Americans for Limited Government, dailytorch.com. Hit that subscribe button. Today we're going to be talking about former Vice President Joe Biden, and if he governs the way he campaigns, I don't think he's going to be a full-time president, and that's really too bad. The American people and the country really need a full-time president, one who's going to be fully engaged with meeting with members of Congress, leaders, working out legislation, meeting with foreign leaders, working out treaties and other types of agreements, including trade deals. President Trump has vigorously been at his job, and he barely takes any time off whatsoever. He's always working, and I think he really loves his job. And I just think Joe Biden is way past his prime. He barely makes any campaign stops. And one wonders, is the White House going to be a bunker for him? Is he just going to stay there? If he gets elected, is he going to meet with anybody? Is he going to make public appearances? Or is he just going to be scared of the virus the whole time and have everything on lockdown? I think the lockdowns could get much worse if Joe Biden wins the election. And again, at 77 years old, he would be the oldest president ever elected. And he already appears to be semi-retired, only apparently seeking one term in office. He's been called a potential transition president. And that's because his own campaign is saying that. In December of 2019, Biden signals to aides he would only serve a single term. And they were talking about this heading into Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina before the primaries. Joe Biden's campaign was thinking, hey, maybe we'll do better if we say we're only going to run for a single term. And that would get people to say, oh, well, he may be too old, but we'll vote for him because he's going to take out President Trump, and then he'll just be a steward for whoever the VP is going to be, in this case, Kamala Harris. And is Biden just, kind of standing there and going to be there just to kind of hold the office so that whoever comes after him can serve? Former Vice President Joe Biden's advisors and prominent Democrats outside the Biden campaign have recently revived the long-running debate whether Biden should publicly pledge to serve only one term, with Biden himself signaling to aides that he would only serve a single term. Quote, if Biden is elected, he's going to be 82 years old in 4 years, and he won't be running for re-election. That was a prominent advisor to the Biden campaign. The advisor argued the public acknowledgement of that reality could help Biden mollify younger voters, especially on the left, who are unexcited by his candidacy and fear that his nomination could serve as an 8-year roadblock to the next generation of Democrats. And so a lot of people are worried on the left that Joe Biden, he's too old, he's past his prime, and he's going to prevent younger Democrats from coming into power. So this was in the context of the primary. He's won the primary. He's the nominee now. And so the real question is he going to serve out the full term in office if he happens to get elected? And I think the answer is probably no. But here's how Biden responded to that charge. Side by side with Kamala Harris, he's sitting there with ABC News' David Muir, and he asked this question at point blank range. Take a listen to this.
The American people remember Ronald Reagan was 77 when he left office. You would be 78 entering office. And you have said yourself that you are a transition candidate. Does that mean a one-term president? What does that mean?
No, it doesn't mean.
So you're leaving open the possibility you'll serve 8 years if you get elected?
Absolutely.
So there you go. Absolutely. He would hold out the possibility that he'll serve another term, but he'll be 82 years old. And so you have to go back to that quote from the prominent advisor that, what if he gets sick? What if he's just, it seems like he's not in full possession of the facts sometimes, although he seemed to be okay at the debate in terms of being able to command the stage. I think that it was still disappointing, though. I think that you can kind of see that he's tired, he's old, and in 4 years he'll be even more old and more tired, presumably. And again, you have to be vigorous on this job if you're going to do well. So it hardly settles the matter if he's telling David Muir, oh yeah, absolutely, I might serve another term. And it raises the prospect that the American people, should they choose Biden, could be electing a weak, lame duck president with little political capital to get anything done. The first 2 years are critical for presidents to get kind of hit the ground running, because within the first 2 years, once you get to the midterms, you're probably going to lose seats in Congress. You could lose seats in the Senate, potentially, and you could lose control of Congress. When Democrats were running in Barack Obama's 2010 midterms, they lost control of the House in 2014. They lost control of the Senate. There's other examples. In 1986, Reagan lost control of the Senate. He had won the presidency and the Senate in 1980, and he held the Senate, and he was reelected in 1984, but he held it all the way until 1986, and that made it easier to get judicial nominations. Obama is kind of similar. Again, he lost the House in 2010, and then he would lose the Senate in 2014. So for the first 6 years of Biden's presidency, he had control of the Senate, and that I think was good, again, for getting judicial confirmations going forward. Bill Clinton, he actually lost control of the House and the Senate in 1994. In 2006, after winning re-election, George W. Bush also lost control of the House and the Senate. So he was able to govern for about 6 years with control of Congress. And I think that winning control of Congress, that's important for a president, especially a first-termer. Meaning, if Biden manages to win in November, will he win both the House and Senate? That's a question. And if he does, depending on how large his majorities are, he might find himself politically incapacitated at the outset, with many observers simply waiting for Kamala Harris, Biden's running mate, to take control. Why stick your neck out for a one-termer? So I think electing Biden, that could help Republicans in the 2022 midterms, where they're going to be able to make the case that, hey, we don't want one-party rule. You need to get Republicans back control of at least the House and maybe the Senate if the Republicans happen to lose that as well, if Biden wins. And it could play into Republicans' hands going forward. Biden could be a weak president, and people are not really thinking about that right now. Many are focused on ensuring President Trump's defeat, but on the Democrat side, but it might not work out the way they're hoping. So they should be careful what they wish for. Americans for Limited Government President Rick Manning, he actually issued a statement about Trump working during his bout with COVID-19, saying that he's so vigorous, he's going to keep on working, and how we need a full-time president here. Sometimes being president means acting like the leader of the free world rather than hiding in one's basement. President Trump showed how a leader who understands the role of the president acts, while his opponent, Biden, continues to cower in fear of the COVID virus. You can't run the White House from the basement there. And Trump did a drive-by outside of Walter Reed. He's since been discharged, and he's getting better. That's really great news for the American people and for the country. Most people wish the first family well, even if they don't agree with him politically. And I think that it's good that he's getting through it. He's showing that the treatments are working, and anyone can face coronavirus and come out on top and not get killed, basically, that you don't have to be afraid. I think that's an important message from President Trump. Now, looking at Biden, he also has a weak record on working across party lines. During his tenure as vice president, you had the stimulus bill, omnibus spending bills, Obamacare, Dodd-Frank financial reform were all passed with little to no Republican support during Obama's first 2 years. Obama's last 6 years of office comparatively had very few legislative accomplishments to speak of. So he didn't have the House after 2010 and didn't get much done after that. They got a few more judges and justices in there, but that's about it. They didn't get anything big accomplished in those last 6 years. So those first 2 years, those are critical. Can Biden, what if he doesn't win the House and the Senate? He'll need to work with Republicans to get anything done. Trump, in contrast, after losing control of the House in 2018, he's passed numerous bipartisan pieces of legislation, including in 2010 with the ratification of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. That ended NAFTA. Joe Biden, he voted for NAFTA. And Trump, he did also the deal with China on a phase one trade deal, even though there's tariffs being left in place on hundreds of billions of dollars of Chinese goods. And Joe Biden, he voted for permanent normal trade with China. So I don't think he'll be a good negotiator on either of those fronts, especially on trade. But also, Trump was able to get bipartisan $2.2 trillion CARES Act through Congress to deal with the pandemic, to build up capacity, testing, hospital resources. We also did the executive orders on Defense Production Act for building ventilators. And then the CARES Act helped to shore up small and large businesses, state and local governments, critical industries, including airlines, sent checks to the American people, and extended unemployment benefits to those who needed. 25 million jobs were lost at the height of the pandemic in April, and 14 million jobs have already been recovered, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And that's just, again, great news for the American people, for the economy. It means that we're coming back, but you probably need more stimulus to keep it going. And throughout the pandemic, Trump has routinely made himself available to publicly speak on his administration's efforts in combating the virus, including building up, again, the nation's testing capacity, ventilators, hospitals, the resources that they would need, and again, addressing the economic fallout of the state-led lockdowns. With Biden, I think he wants to leave everything shut down. Here's what he told ABC News in the same interview with David Muir in August about leaving everything shut down. I would shut it down. I'd listen to the scientists. Take a listen to this.
Sworn in come January, and we have coronavirus and the flu combining, which many scientists have said is a real possibility. Would you be prepared to shut this country down again?
I would be prepared to do whatever it takes to save lives, because we cannot get the country moving until we control the virus. That is the fundamental flaw of this administration's thinking to begin with. In order to keep the country running and moving and the economy growing and people employed, you have to fix the virus. You have to deal with the virus.
So if the scientists say, shut it down?
I would shut it down. I would listen to the scientists.
There you go. He would shut it down. He would listen to the scientists, even though the scientists say you don't need a lockdown. Fauci says nation can survive COVID-19 without another shutdown. Take a listen to this. This was also in August.
That would not require shutting down again. There seems to be a misperception that either you shut down completely and damage a lot of things, mental health, the economy, all kinds of things, or let it rip and do whatever you want. There's a stepwise fashion that you can open up the economy successfully. You don't have to lock down again. But everybody has got to be on board for doing these 5 or 6 fundamental public health measures.
There you go. There's a way to safely reopen the economy, to get schools reopened. The Trump administration has put forward how to reopen America safely. Joe Biden, he says he wants to listen to the scientists. Well, he should listen to the scientists. There's a way to keep the economy reopening. You can keep on building momentum with getting the 25 million jobs he lost. We already got 14 million jobs back. And that's because President Trump has found a way to support the economy and to safely reopen. People are going back to work. They're coming off of unemployment. And that's good news. We want to see that happen. And we're keeping the amount of COVID cases down. So I think for now, that's where we have to be, and I'll leave you with the close here. With Biden, you get the feeling he would leave everything shut down forever, even though the scientists, including Dr. Fauci, say you don't need another lockdown, and simply send us a memo in a few years telling us if he's going to run for re-election or not. With threats emerging from China, Iran, and elsewhere, and the ongoing damage being wrought by the pandemic and the lockdowns, the American people cannot afford to have a president be somebody who is not fully committed to the task at hand. We need a full-time president. That's the commentary. This is Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy with Americans for Limited Government. DailyTorch.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and have a good day.